Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to the Adventure Incorporated podcast. I am your Dungeon Master, Anthony Reed. This is episode 136 and the 8th episode of the Gorm story arc. Once again, for the month of November, we are doing something special. If you head over to patreon.com/adventureinc and become a patron, we are looking to hit 25. That's our magic number. If we hit 25 patrons in the month of November, we will do a special Tavern Night in December. They're a ton of fun. It's a great time to see the characters just sort of chilling out and having a more loose atmosphere. We have some special NPCs that show up. It's a great time. We did one back in March. If you missed it, you should totally come and check it out. This episode is brought to you by David and patrons like them. There's all kinds of great stuff on the Patreon, and if you keep your eyes open this week, right here on the feed and on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, in the Discord, you'll see some of the special things that we do on the Patreon. I'm going to release a short story out for free this week, so head over there Wednesday and you should see that in the feed. That is all this week. Let's get started. Nobles and farmers, knights and wenches, gather round to hear a tale of excitement and mystery. Brave adventurers facing grave dangers. Keth, the fighter monk.
Guys, there's a lot of puppy in this cloak. I needed to say that.
What?
Genevera, the sorcerer. Genevera, you're sitting there next to Clyde, who just goes, "What the fuck?"
I hold up my hand for a high five.
Gebetto, the rogue. As soon as they see the five of you, their expression hardens.
Well, we'll see you later. And Gebetto just turns.
Gillik, the paladin warlock.
But you're dying again, right? Like, you die, then you get a spirit.
And you're nothing.
And then
you become nothing.
And then you're nothing. That sounds like bullshit. Let's go kill the Death Lord.
And Asher, the druid barbarian. Yeah, but I'm asking specifically why Jeff is important to Asher.
It's just the first name. You know what? I don't have to justify this.
Let us recall what happened when we last left our heroes. But I warn you, this will be dangerous, and it will be difficult. And if you stray too far from what Gorm did in these memories, your mind will shatter.
The visions begin.
You just don't sense any, people for miles around.
Oh.
And you sort of feel like
I feel so alone.
This time it might actually work. Like, this could happen. Then you see the first torch light as Elatrix steps forward. He raises the torch and he drops it to the ground. Thousands of torches light up in the woodline behind him. Yeah, you grab up Thorval and you jump through the portal and you feel that twisting, that squeezing. Prepare yourselves, for this is the tale of Adventure Incorporated. Alright, let's get started.
Okay.
Asher, you open your eyes, and suddenly you are standing in a field, in the sort of the quad area at Adventure Incorporated.
Oh.
You are the compound looks as you know it to look. You look like you're at Adventure Incorporated. On the ground in front of you is a taller person with dark skin, a man, and he's in long white robes. He looks badly injured down on the ground in front of you. You sort of look around. You look like you feel like you, except you are wearing a long white robe as well.
Oh, so I look like Asher, but I'm supposed to be Gorm.
Right.
Okay. And this man is he distant from me, or?
No, he's just a few feet away from you, and he sort of turns and he says, Gorm, that's the second time that creature has interrupted our plans. We can't let that happen again.
No, we can't.
The kingdoms, they came together. We have to find a way to stop them here. Stop them from joining this time.
Yes.
The goblins should be a quick fix to start working on the machines, but the kingdoms, we have to find a way.
I start looking at. I inspect myself. Why am I not injured? I'm just is the thought I'm going through. Or am I injured?
You aren't. You look down at yourself and it feels like you have a couple of scrapes at worst.
Mm-hmm.
Like a couple of scratches and scrapes, but this guy, he's got what looks like maybe an older wound, but like a huge chunk missing out of his side, and he is badly battered and beaten from much more recently.
Yeah.
His robes are covered in blood.
I kind of still try to keep an I'm still listening to the dude, but I want to inspect to see what's different about Adventure Inc. where I'm standing.
Okay. Make a perception check at plus 17.
What?
I get an 18.
I have special eyes. My brain. What's 5 plus 17?
22.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah, you look around real quick, and this Adventure Incorporated, the compound stands right now. It looks like exactly what the compound looked like the first time you came here. Years ago, when you were just coming with your old adventuring party, that this is what the compound looked like then. So before the attack by the undead and before sort of the weathering that it's had over the last couple of years, the attack by the Bisu and his crew, this is sort of a more pristine version of Adventure Incorporated.
Right.
The guy sort of pushes himself up and he stumbles back to the ground a little bit and he says, I must find a place to recover, a place to heal.
I kind of put my hand out and I try and help him up and hoist him onto my shoulder.
He says, thank you, as you sort of help him up. And he says, I think I can... No, I will find a place to protect myself. You must go. There is work to be done. I think I can handle this. And he sort of closes his eyes and starts to stretch a little bit, and you see as he transforms into a giant dragon.
Asher's doing everything in his power not to ask, where do I go? What am I doing? He's thinking very hard, what if I encounter resistance? Further resistance where I'm going.
I do not envy your task. You must find a way to turn these kingdoms against one another. The goblins we have done before, that should be easy, but turning these kingdoms will be new, but it must be done, or we will not succeed. I do not have the strength to take another attack like the one I just took. Do what you can.
Is the answer here, then? In this adventuring company?
Probably not. This is the ritual site.
Oh, right.
But whatever you can find. It's at that point, Asher, as he's saying this, that you sort of, out of the corner of your eye, notice Gillik across by the gates of the adventuring compound.
What the fuck is that?
When Gillik meets eyes with Asher, he waves and puts a finger over his mouth.
Fuck is happening right now?
And as soon as he starts saying anything, Gillik just starts waving his arms just.
Asher goes,
not saying anything.
Doesn't do anything. Yep.
The guy continues. He says,
as he continues, Gillik's going to start approaching Asher so that he can see him slowly as he's approaching. Just keep an eye, eyeing him to pay attention to the person he's talking to.
Yep.
He says, you're going to have to find a way to split these kingdoms up. They cannot cooperate again. I don't know how, but I unfortunately can't help either. I I have to recover my strength.
When Gillik gets close to Asher, he's going to stand on his right side and just say, "He can't hear me or see me. Don't say anything. His name is Thorval, and just keep going along with it."
I will find a way.
Perhaps I will go now to the goblins and have them begin work on the machines. And that is where I can rest.
He's talking about the slammy hammers.
Asher almost answered. I think that's a good idea.
Gillik says, "Good save."
He
Not helping. Thanks.
he sort of nods and he turns away from you. And he sort of takes to the air, but not like he's sort of like hovering almost. He's not going very high. It looks like he's sort of making large drops as he flies, but he's making his way north.
Sure.
He's out of earshot.
Yeah, after a few moments he is presumably out of earshot.
Can I interact with you, or will that fuck up the memory? I'm not even looking at Gillik.
No. I think we can talk now, and no, you can interact with me, but he can't.
What the fuck are you doing here? What the fuck is Gorm doing here?
I'm not sure. This has kind of been, I guess, the theme. So, if I remember correctly, I was you, which is you are Gorm, which you have all of his abilities. Just so you know, you can turn into a dragon. It's kind of cool. I didn't do it, but
I want to do it.
Okay.
I think I have to do it because I have to get to the place where to dissolve kingdoms. Didn't that happen? That happened in Bradmont, right? But that happened in recent.
Yeah, we're somewhere in a memory. And so when I was Gorm, Keth was where I was, and then before that I was talking to Keth, and he said that when he was Gorm, Gebetto was where he is, which is me. I'm like this kind of
cool
thing. Yeah, I can't interact with stuff, but I can see and hear, talk to you. That's about it. I'm kind of, yeah. Oh yeah, so you are second in command of a cult. He's the leader. That's, like I said, that's Thorval.
Oh, Gorm isn't even the leader yet?
No.
Damn.
No, yeah, that guy's in charge. And,
well, jeez.
Back in the day, they sacrificed Gorm's brother, Haleth, to raise Herrick's, and that didn't work. I could think Elatrix got involved. That creature they were talking about was Elatrix as the Coatl. Yeah,
that's what that was my guess, but I was like confused about the timeline.
Your guess is correct.
So what would Gorm do in this situation? He's not yet the cult leader, and the other guy who sacrificed his brother is the cult leader.
Oh yeah. Now I remember.
Do you think he killed this guy now-ish?
I'm sorry, I was distracted because I was just reminded of a very, very, very important ability that helps with this whole scenario. Gorm is very, very adept in the divination arts.
Right.
So use that ability to try to navigate the dream. Or the memory. That's kind of what I did, and that helped. I didn't know what to do either. I guess
okay.
Keth caused a lot of havoc, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm not sure. Yeah.
I feel like Gorm would have killed that guy.
Killed.
I'm gonna use divination magic to I'm gonna just I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna feel through it. And Asher just trying to focuses, and tries to think of the ley line stuff that he knows, and tries to conjure up something with divination. Him not knowing it, but hoping it comes to his hands.
Okay, make a wisdom perception check at +17 again.
Wisdom perception. How wise can you see? +17?
Yeah.
So what's that times 2? So 34, right?
Okay. So you sort of close your eyes and you sort of reach out toward the ley lines. You see flashes of each of the ley lines. You see the machines that were built by the goblins, the ones that Asher has seen before, the hammies, the slammy hammers, and the impossible machines. But Gorm has seen them too. They have. Those are like familiar to him. You feel. And so he knows that those have to be built again. And then you also see, you're almost seeing flashes of the last time that he tried to do this. You're seeing backwards through divination a little bit. You see the armies coming together to stop both you and Thorval, and Thorval getting hurt. And then you are seeing sort of flashes of each of the kings. And specifically, it seems to linger for a moment on the ones that you think will be most pliable to your way of thinking or manipulatable. And so you sort of feel like you must make a choice as to how you want to try to destabilize these kingdoms.
Well, it's definitely not gonna be. It's definitely not gonna be Ishtara, because she would not buy it. And then there's the Child King, and then Brad. I keep thinking Bradmont, and who's the ruler of Bradmont again?
That'd be Thormund Greywood.
Right.
You guys, that's the one you the many pennies, spoke to. He was going to execute you guys.
Yeah, that's the guy I'm gonna go to.
Okay.
Totally.
Yeah, did we ever make peace with him? He still wants to kill us, right?
I don't think so. I think we got we didn't escape, and like we got saved by it, remember? And now we're like kind of friends with the like omens there. That's their whole area.
Okay. What about Emberfall?
But they was the guy. What's wrong with it? Well, what about Emberfall? Yeah, who's the leader of Emberfall?
King Garhand. He's the one who he sort of runs some shady deals out of Emberfall, and he was the one who maybe saw you guys through the when you guys were traveling through the ethereal plane, and sent assassins after you.
But he is quite shady. Ugh.
I mean, some people are a little bit shady. I've been known to be a little shady. And Gillik summons a hammer and does like shadowy shit.
A hat, just a shadow hat.
Yeah, shadow hat.
Yeah, shadow hat. Show me the meaning of shade.
Oh my god! Can I, Anthony? Can I have a shadow hat?
We'll talk about it later.
Fucking awesome. Yes. Yes. Shadow top hat.
Oh boy.
Or a bowler. Or a deerskin cap. I don't know. I'm thinking.
We're getting off track.
Yep. Anyway, refocus.
Let's see. So what we know some stuff about each of them. Bradmont's the one I'm just feeling it. The memory is just feeling that's where I want to go.
Okay. So Gorm sort of sets out for Bradmont, and then there's sort of like a shifting of the vision in front of you, like almost like a tearing of the screen, so to speak.
Whoop.
But not in a way like the memory is failing, like in a way that you're sort of skipping time.
Am I currently a dragon?
Yes.
This is awesome.
And you as a dragon still just are you, Asher. You just feel like but you feel like you're flying and could spit lightning.
Yeah. It feels like you're inside of the body of a dragon and you're like controlling it like a puppet, I guess.
So it's like Attack on Titan, but a dragon.
You know what? I like that. I think that's appropriate. Attack on dragon.
Careful of the nape of my neck.
So you land down at the kingdom. So the time sort of like moves forward, and you are in the court at Bradmont, standing before King Greywood, and he is sort of holding court. You are in your human form, and you are standing before him, and he says, "You are the wizard Gorm."
That is I.
I have given you this audience. What is it what proposal do you wish to bring before me?
I have less of a proposal and more of just some information. I'm bluffing.
Okay. Okay. Once you drop the bluff, I will have you roll a deception check, but we'll get there.
Sure. I am but a watcher of this world. I try not to interact with it, but I have seen things that just make me worried about the future of our world. I feel as though there are kingdoms that are currently working together in paper only. And I believe that some of the kingdoms might be, how do you say, giving you a raw deal. Does that make sense to you?
I'm listening.
Well, out of game, what the fuck is the kingdom where Adventure Inc. is in?
Carapath?
Carapath. Well, I believe the kingdom of Carapath is acting as though they are the kingdom that rules the other kingdoms. And in fact, I've seen things that would suggest that they do. Like they're bringing troops kind of suspiciously close to borders, but calling them forts, you know. And just acting as though they can boss everyone around. Is this a unfamiliar situation to you?
Forts kind of sounded like farts.
What?
Can you
Asher's just like...
roll a deception check. Roll a deception check at +5.
Hell yeah. 18.
I've been keeping my eye on Elatrix. I am aware of his tendency to take control.
He's a bit of a control freak, if you will. I would just be such an unfortunate thing knowing what he knows to not share with you. What
do you mean?
Oh. Okay. I believe that he knows that Emberfall is going to eventually fall. Emberfall is ruled by, let's be real, a criminal.
Then it'll
That
just
man,
be Ember.
It will... Asher's like... Emberfall is ruled by a thug who just wants to rule for the power of it, not to do any good. And the things I've seen Carapath sort of supply Emberfall with is less and less supply and more promises in a way that seems like they're trying to make it happen. And if Emberfall falls, what? We're gonna be overrun with lizard folk? That's an infestation you cannot just get rid of overnight. I think Carapath is trying to destabilize this union.
See him make another deception check.
Oh boy.
I like where you're going with this, Asher.
Thank you. Oh my goodness.
Did you say thank you?
I said thank you. 14 plus what? What do I add?
5.
19.
You see him sit back for a second, and he says, Perhaps your view is narrow.
It may be. This audience is mostly a concerned citizen of the world. Because if anything goes wrong here, I don't know. Bradmont is such a pillar of strength amongst the rest of the kingdoms. Why isn't Bradmont the one calling the shots? And frankly, if I'm quite honest, this whole union is just a parasitic union. It could be rebuilt or it could be destroyed. But really what's happening is one person is acting as though they control the rest of them.
You see one of his advisors step forward and start to like whisper something in his ear. If you want to try to listen in, you can make a perception check.
I do.
Ashley, you keep talking. I can't even follow you anymore. I love it. It's great. I don't. It's just speaking like a true politician.
Thank you. 15 plus 17.
Yeah, 32. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely hear as you hear the advisor whisper in his ear, if Elatrix is making these moves, he is not destabilizing simply to let Emberfall fall. He will try to take the territory. You see the king nod, and he sort of turns to him and says, I thought the same.
Now, what seems to be, to me, a problem is what happens when Emberfall falls? Or what happens when Emberfall just gets destabilized? What is Elatrix's next move? What do you think that would be? Do you think it's just, I don't know, let it happen? That's not Elatrix. That's not the Elatrix we all know. That is his first piece that he is moving to actually fully call the shots. Not just politically, to take over, to take more territory.
Roll another deception check.
You get me riled up.
15 plus 5, 20! I'm rolling hot. God, I'm gonna eat it at the worst part. I can't.
We will take your words under advisement, wizard.
Emphasize your divination powers. Remember, you're Gorm. You are the diviner.
Now, you should not necessarily just take my words as advice. I would take them as fact. And I'm sure your court wizard can sense. I am steeped in divination. I can see things that I don't want to see. Frankly, I don't want to be involved in politics. I just want to go to my mountain and just do my work. But I am here.
You do see him like sort of glance over at Kaelith, who nods curtly.
But I cannot sit by and let the world fall apart. So I came to the kingdom that I thought I could trust. Is this that kingdom, or should I go elsewhere?
As I said, your words have been taken and understood, and we will do what we can to protect ourselves from whatever may fall. But we appreciate the warning to be on our guard. Now,
if I were you, I maybe would try and reform the way the kingdoms are put together. See, the thing about divination is you don't see just the future or the past. You see possibilities. And there are certain possibilities where you could be, I don't know, a bigger kingdom or a stronger or something better than you already are, and that's a high bar to cross. I'm just saying, don't just take this as a defensive piece of information. This is something that I don't think Elatrix would even see coming himself. I weep for the world if things go wrong. That is all I have to say. And I take a very deep bow.
And he says, we are ending court early. I must meet with my advisors. And he stands, and they all start to leave out toward the back.
Now, if you ever need to reach me,
He stops and turns to you.
I am easy to find. Like I said, can see a lot of possibilities. So, we may be in touch, as it were. And it's if you need it. I am not here to tell you how to rule. That is not what I do.
Thank you. I appreciate the gesture. And he turns and leaves.
It was my pleasure. And I bow deeply again.
So now, that sort of tearing happens again. You feel that, pull. And you are in a cavern next to one of the slammy hammers, and sort of laying sprawled out is the draconic form of Thorval, who is still recovering, still badly damaged. There's snow on the ground, which means that, some months have passed. since you've arrived here outside the cave. But you are watching as this machine is being built. And
so Thorval hasn't recovered, like, from after months?
After months, he is still struggling to recover. He says,
How are the kingdoms progressing? I find your use of the lizard folk and the gnolls in the north to move against Pereneth a very inspired choice.
Well, it's very easy to turn people against each other. You just need a little bit of paranoia that's backed up by facts.
And it seems you found enviable tools in the lizard folk and the gnolls. They seem to follow you with little provocation.
Aye, they do. They have very tiny, tiny brains. It's very easy.
With Pereneth out and Bradmont scared, is there anything else you have planned for these kingdoms before we attempt the ritual again?
What's the ritual? Do I know the ritual?
It's raising herricks.
Raising herricks. I think there is more to do before we attempt the ritual.
We have several months before we can complete it, as the goblins work on the machines anyway. If you have somewhere else you would like to try before we begin.
I believe there is many things to do. And Asher's like creeped out by how good he is at being this villain right now. May I ask you, what's his name again?
Thorval.
May I ask you, Thorval, why have your wounds not healed?
They are healing much slower than I would have hoped. And
why is that?
I am not certain, but there is something that is worrying me.
And you see him sort of turn, and the large wound that was on his side before that looked like old but not great, a lot of the skin has actually just, and flesh has actually rotted away, and just a skeleton is exposed on his side. And it seems to be larger. He is not a black dragon, but it is very reminiscent to what was described to you, because you weren't there, of the sickness that the black dragon had. And for you, Gillik, you see it as being very similar to that sickness that you saw on the black dragon on your way to the ley line of necromancy.
Dragon rot. I've seen this before.
This is... Asher's holding in a laugh. This is not... Was this the creature's doing?
You don't... are you asking him?
Yeah.
This wound initially... Maybe he did something to infect it. Maybe he... I don't know, but... It is not healing. And it seems to be traveling and getting worse.
And... sorry, my brain is like full of stuff right now. He sacrificed Gorm's sibling? Gorm's... Like what you said, Gillik. Just as a refresher.
Brother.
Haleth. And do we know how Gorm felt about that? I assume bad?
You know, I'm going to assume bad, but I believe I remember Keth mentioning that, it was kind of one of those necessary, willing sacrifice things. Like, that's kind of how Gorm felt about it.
You know, this plan has to work, he says to him.
You are not wrong. I am trying to muster whatever strength I can, but perhaps it is time I teach you how to run the ritual without me.
Yes.
If I do not survive, you will have to run the ritual, but you will have to try and ensure that nothing will interrupt you.
Asher, kind of tries to dig into Gorm's memory and to think if he already knows it. He's trying to get Gorm's motivation.
Yeah, you feel that Gorm does not know this ritual. You also feel a spike of nervousness. He's a little nervous about, this ritual is not something he knows, and it's sort of beyond him to a degree, but he knows that it must happen.
We must get to work as soon as possible.
Then perhaps we can begin that, and you will have time to do one more thing to try and destabilize these kingdoms. When the goblins are finished and you are performing the ritual, perhaps we can make it work this time.
Perhaps we can.
I still think it would be best to hold our backup plan, just in case. I know you do not always... I know you do not agree, but so far these people have proven to be more resilient than we expected. Having another location similar to this one to go to, one picked out ahead of time, would be valuable.
I want this to be the last time.
I want this to be the last time as well, but if it cannot, we cannot fail. If this is another setback, so be it, but we have to keep trying.
And why don't we just go kill these people now? What is holding us back?
Without the slumbering one, I don't think we have the strength to stop that creature. To run from it? Certainly, and our advantage is that he does not see us coming in any of these worlds. But to stop him, I believe it is beyond both of us.
He's a being of pure good. He can't be hard to trick.
There is no good in this creature. I have felt that magic before. He is not like our slumbering one. He will not bring with him that strength of will, that power. No, the good slumbers beneath us. This creature is of the Fae.
I let out a growl. And Asher's like, oh, I can make that noise? Whoa. It's like, I don't get the mechanics of it, but okay. Then I must learn this ritual, and we must continue.
He nods, and then that sort of like tearing happens again. Do you have one more, like, what would be your, if you had one more action to take to try and destabilize the kingdoms, what would be the last one Gorm would take?
Let's see, there's Carapath, which he wouldn't go to. I guess Emberfall, right? Or am I missing a kingdom? Because
you are. There's Verena also.
Verena would be interesting. Verena's the Child King.
No, that's Paraneth.
Paraneth, that's the one. Okay.
But as Thorval told you, the lizard folk and gnolls are already attacking up there.
Yeah. And who rules Verena?
It's actually someone you've never met, Asher. Like Asher has never met her.
Has while using divination magic and stuff, has Gorm?
Gorm has not either.
Well, let's take I use some divination magic to try and get a scope of who this person is, if I can, if possible.
Yeah, you start to see images of King Callus, who is she's sort of her palace is opulent and ostentatious. She wears like massive like silk dresses that are sort of they have like exotic relics and jewelry and like design, but they are things that like there's sort of an extravagance to it that comes across almost immediately. It's clear that her connection here to Verena is allows her to sort of connect with nations that are beyond sort of the typical nations here in New Merida, because it is a port city and there's a lot of trading that goes through from lands beyond. So there is just innately in Verena, there is sort of this sense of ostentation, and it is on display with Victoria Callis. And you get a sense of her that there's something almost vapid about her, but she definitely has like the authority that allows other people to want to make her feel important.
I dare you to say, King Callus, I like your palace.
I actually wanted to take a different route. I wanted to, because Gorm has access to some stuff. I think it would be interesting to send. This is just me being a dink. Send an assassin with some paraphernalia from Bradmont to attack either successfully or unsuccessfully the Queen. Does he have the means to do that or no?
Yeah, you could hire an assassin from Emberfall. So actually, you hire one of the Bisus.
Yeah.
Who are actually from Verena. You hire
Can I talk to them?
Kreese and Mati. Sure, if that's the conversation you want to have as the setup, that's what we can do.
Well, all I want to say is that it doesn't need to be a successful assassination. It just needs to look like Bradmont sent them. And if it is successful, that's just icing on the cake.
Yeah. Kreese and Mati, they actually, you hire both of them because they work together as a team. They nod their understanding and they take like a banner from Bradmont or whatever, and they that's what they you sort of hear that this has happened, and it's inflamed the sort of anger between Bradmont and Verena. There has been there was some amount of financial trouble in Emberfall, and so Bradmont like stationed a large number of troops on that side of their border as well. So they focus their troops on both sides. It is nothing has broken out into like a hard fight yet, although the Verena Bradmont border is like pretty contentious. And Paraneth has been requesting aid against the lizard folk and the gnolls to little avail. The kingdoms are starting to boil to a breaking point. But it seems that King Elatrix has been holding the kingdoms together a bit in the King's Meets. Not so much that they want to work together, but enough that they have not devolved into full war. But your time has sort of passed, has come up.
I wanted to go back to Bradmont and be like, what happened?
Ultimately, your time has sort of expired, but it's okay because with them at each other's throats, it seems unlikely they'll mount the kind of assault that you seem to have faced in the past. So you meet you and Thorval. Thorval is well enough to travel, but it does seem that his infection has spread further, and he does not seem like he's up to the actual assault part of it. But he does feel like he's ready to he can help you, guide you in the ritual.
Okay.
The ritual grounds have to take place in that specific spot where you guys showed up in Malkamara.
So in Adventure Inc.?
That compound is in the way, and will have to be raised to start. But yes, that is where the ritual must take place. There's something about that place that is of importance to the ritual.
I ask him, why here? Why not somewhere else? What is about this location that it has to happen?
As you guys are flying there, he says,
"This is the place that is thinnest between here and the sleeping one. It is in this location that the ritual carries the magic most to him, so that we can wake him."
Asher's like, oh.
He says,
Are you ready?
I
We
am
must
ready.
assault this compound before we begin. I can help you with that. That should be simple. But if the armies come, there will be little that I can do.
Then let's make haste.
so
Asher didn't
you
like that word. He was like, that sounded. You were being so smooth. What happened? Like,
in front of you, he sort of like takes the lead and starts to just like as soon as the compound is in sight, he begins like blowing fire, smashing the buildings.
lightning. I do lightning.
Sure, you blast lightning all over the compound. It seems empty, but still the buildings come down. You don't hear like screams. You don't see people running. The compound is empty, but you have destroyed it.
I checked to see if this is an illusion.
It does not. With your perception, it does not appear an illusion. You have a passive perception of 27. You pierce illusions.
What? Where is everyone? Why is this place empty?
Perhaps they have gone to help against the lizard folk in the Knolls.
But there
Or
would
perhaps
still.
they are on chosen sides in your coming war.
But there would still be a cook. There would still be servants. There's no one here. Something is not right.
Perhaps. Then prepare the way for our backup plan, but we must begin the ritual now.
Yes. And Asher just was like, here we go.
So he touches down next to you and sort of like positions you. He marks out the ground with the familiar pattern to Gorm that he has seen before, and he begins to instruct you on how to start the ritual. You sort of take your spot at the head of this symbol and begin to focus your will into the ritual. The ritual for what are you focusing, Asher, as Gorm, into this ritual to try and awaken Herix? Like what emotion are you drawing on?
Oh boy. Knowing Herix is about the cycle and it's the 2 wicks, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's focusing on the symbol of the 2 wicks and also the concept of like life and death and rebirth. And trying to channel that in with like as much gusto and certainty as he can. Just like all confidence going in. He knows this is going to work.
Okay. Yeah, you start to do that and the lines begin to glow. The ritual begins to take effect. And as that starts, it is an enthralling feeling. Like you are really just being invigorated by the power that this ritual is generating. You know, the slammy hammers are, the impossible machines are gathering the energy, transferring it to the slammy hammers. It's all converging here, and you feel it flowing through you like a conduit, and there is power to it, and it is intoxicating. And as that's happening, it almost sort of takes most of your focus away, but you do sort of get glimpses of the world around you. And it is not long until Thorval says,
Damn, no, how?
An army makes its way out of the woods. It is a much smaller army than any of the armies that have come to stop the ritual before. This appears to be just an army from Carapath. But there is a difference to this army. They are wielding weapons like you have never seen before. They are powerful, enchanted weapons. They seem to have been made by an expert craftsman. All of them seem to be steeped in sort of alchemical concoctions of various types that make them more powerful than you've ever seen the soldiers of Carapath before. It seems in the absence of support, Elatrix went and found other ways to empower his people. And so if you sort of instinctively reach out with divination and you see the images of Iron Shaper and
That's what I figured.
Adnan, like these people who have contributed to help build up this army to make it even more powerful than perhaps the last you faced. And as these limited troops at their head, Elatrix, march toward you on the battlefield. Thorvald says,
We have to go. Not again. We can't. I can't survive this.
Then let's go.
Open the gate. We can't even give them the opportunity.
Open the gate? What? I don't understand.
Think about opening a portal. Quick.
Yeah, sure. And Asher as Gorm opens a gate and walks through.
Yeah, you focus on divination, and you sort of rend a portal in front of you, a space similar to the ones that you traveled through to travel through divination before. The sort of blue swirling portal opens, and Thorvald quickly passes through, and you pass through.
I want
go ahead.
to do a thing.
Yep.
As he tries to pass through, is he in dragon form or no?
Gorm?
No, the other guy.
Thorvald?
Are we in dragon form?
Yeah. To do the ritual, you're in dragon form.
Okay. He grabs him by the neck with his claw and said, "You are too weak," and throws him back out the portal and then closes it.
Okay. You toss Thorvald to the proverbial wolves and pass your way into the portal. Around you, there is that familiar twisting, the pulling, the crushing, the squeezing. There is sort of this twirling and spinning and loud noise, and then there is darkness. And then you are rushing past the tubes of divination off toward the next destination. And that's where we'll call it. Hey adventurers, DM Anthony here again. I just want to remind you that there are lots of ways to support the show. Head on over to patreon.com/adventureinc. Tell your friends about the show. Rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Links and more can be found at adventureinc.podbean.com. Thanks everyone, we'll see you next week.